Doctor, okay, let's switch gears to let's pivot back to the Catholic bishops meeting with President Tinubu. In that meeting, President Tinubu made maybe three very startling comments. The first, he said, all is fair in politics, to which it is safe for anyone to impute, to stretch it as far as possible. You can stretch it as far as your imagination can take you, because that means I could actually look at my opponent and put a gun to his or her head, and because you say all is fair in politics. That means the thuggery, the brigandage, the ballot stuffing that we used to know, we can deploy all of those all over again. We can come into political parties, opposition parties, and destabilize them. All is fair in politics. Second, he said, because the Catholic bishops said, oh, the country is bleeding. There is massive hunger. We're close to the people. We're parish. We live with them. We know. And the president said no, And the president said, oh, as for my opponents, they want to take my seat. I'm not going to make it easier for them. I'm not going to lay a carpet for them. We're going to wrestle ourselves to the finish. Doctor, what's your response to this choice of words?
I saw the same interview you saw, and I will be honest with you. What came to my mind at that time is I wish his handlers would let him speak even less. I think they were, if indeed this long absence of the president saying anything, Nigerians worry. They want to see their president.
Exactly.
They want to see, when they're in trouble, they say, where is the president? Where is the president? Why is it only Bayo is releasing things? So the president is caught between two things. The presidency is caught between two problems. On the one hand, if he stays away for too long and it's all we see are press releases and statements by media aides, then we say, where is our president? Why isn't he talking? On the other hand, if you put him forward, he says this kind of, they're not laughable, they're sad. If a president can say all is fair in politics, in a democratic setting, this is the prime definition of a democratic system, is that it is founded on the rule of law. And when you're dealing with the rule of law, the last thing you equate it with is that anything goes. That's what he says. Anything goes. I am a fighter. If you come with a knife, I will come with a gun. And I will shoot you before you get close to me. Some politicians will say that's the way to fight. But not if you're president of the country and you're the chief law officer of the country. You set the standard for the country. And you say it to people who have the courage to come to you and say, sir, you're doing certain things wrong. Either that you are doing it wrong or you don't really know what's going on. And you rebut them with this kind of thing. When he says, the truth is, I've said this many times, I honestly don't think that President Tinubu is in touch with the real happenings in this country. No president can be exposed to all the nitty-gritty and the details of how poor people live, the cost of gari, how much it takes to keep your child in a primary school these days, transport fares that are going up and making it impossible for people to do things. How many people are kidnapped and people quietly pay the ransom and get their people back? In fairness to him, it's impossible. What he doesn't have, and he should have, are people who are speaking to him honestly and sincerely and say, Mr. President, when you speak to people, speak in a manner that shows empathy, that shows some level of understanding, and be careful about our choice of words. The problem with power is that it insulates you and creates a larger-than-life image. Nobody goes to him and says, and I've seen some of his spokespeople who speak with such aggression, who are you to tell us this thing is not working, you don't know anything. Well, what makes you know anything? You live in the same world that the president lives in, which is why he's so speaking like this.
Exactly.
I live in the streets, so I live with the people, so I know what's going on. I lead a party of largely poor people who are desperately looking for a change If I speak of a Nigeria that the president doesn't know anything about. I speak for the kidnapped people that are still in the hands in Borno, in Sokoto, in Zamfara, daily. Daily. I don't know how many people tell him. A very interesting digression. In 1999, President Obasanjo appointed an advisor, very, very bright, intelligent man. He had a background in journalism. I can't remember his name now. His job was to tell the president all the things that other people not tell him.
Wow. Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Very good man.
Wow.
Really, really good man.
Wow.
And he took his mandate seriously. And he did that in newspapers, in other media. And every day he would give the president a report. Mr. President, this thing happened yesterday. Ordinarily, he would not hear of it. And in the first few weeks, the president thought, this is great. So he would hear all the nice things that people want him to be happy about. And then he would read this gentleman's thing. After a few months, the president, why is this man who's always telling me bad news? I remember this very clearly because it happened at one of the retreats that President Obasanjo used to organize for permanent secretaries and ministers. And he was there. The man lost his job after 6 months.
Wow.
Leaders, very few leaders want to tolerate people who tell them something is wrong.
Wow.
They would rather deal with courtiers. So my thinking is, if it were possible, I would say, please just keep President Tinubu in his ignorance. You can't educate him anymore. He absolutely believes that he's in a mission and this country is better or will be better if he gets another 4 years. He absolutely believes this. And anybody who is saying no is his enemy. And he says all is fair, which means that I will deal with my enemy the same way that I expect my enemy to deal with me. That is the wrong thinking for a president. And if you don't rein him in, he will do even more damage to them. We are hoping he can do that, so that Nigerians can see the real President Tinubu, and maybe that will tilt people away from them in the 2027 elections.
You know, he also said when the bishops told him their concerns, you know, of Nigerians, of opposition political figures, and Nigerians generally about the non-neutrality of INEC. That the president should try and, you know, of course, he's the appointer of the people running INEC. But the president, you know, his eyes blazing fire, says no, INEC is neutral, and INEC does not intimidate anybody. A lot of people have said, when did the president become the chief spokesperson for INEC? Doctor?
Yes, he did. He did. I was a bit taken aback, but then nothing surprises me about President Tinubu's posture or utterances anymore. I thought that, but that was particularly below the belt. INEC can speak for itself.
Absolutely.
And the writing is on the wall. The truth is there are instances where you can point out at INEC. You don't need to exercise deliberate influence on INEC, direct and deliberate influence on INEC. People talk about integrity of INEC and whether it's there are enough people there to say, look, we're serving the country, not the administration. I was secretary of INEC.
Yeah.
During my time, INEC itself, the national commissioners discovered that one of them had committed a transgression that could have tainted the elections very badly on their own. One of them, national commissioner. Forgive me, but I can't mention names.
Yes.
And they were worried enough to actually sit down on their own and ask the commissioner to resign.
Wow.
Initially, the commissioner said, okay, I'll resign. Then later, the commissioner came back and said, I won't resign. And all this we did on our own, the commissioners and myself, and we insisted that commissioner had to leave. National commissioner. Eventually, after 2 weeks, we got the national commissioner to resign.
Wow.
Maybe the president...
Self-cleansing.
Yes, maybe the president... And this was just a few weeks before the elections. Maybe the president knew what we did. Maybe he didn't, but I'm sure he did. But he never called the commission to say, one of you has committed a transgression and you guys are dealing with it. It hadn't happened, but it was the kind of thing you do that would severely taint the integrity of INEC and spill over into the integrity of the elections. That's integrity. INEC can speak for itself. INEC can defend itself.
Absolutely.
There were a number of times when the president would come, call INEC or call somebody and say, I want INEC to do this. And I would say to him politely, sorry, Mr. President, we can't do this. We're accountable to the Nigerian people. So INEC should defend itself. President Tinubu, I saw the venom, I saw the energy that he deployed. It's never done. Again, it goes back to this issue. If you can keep the microphone away from the president, do so. This is a friendly advice to him. I know they won't do it.
Okay, last question on this bit with the Catholic bishops. The president's aides, particularly Daniel Bwala and a certain Tokwe Ajayi, they've come out because Cardinal Onayekon came after that meeting, granted an interview, and pretty much regurgitated all what we've said here as his own perception or takeaways from the meeting. And these media aides of the president went, viciously attacking this man, saying, oh, he breached presidential confidentiality. You've served as in the presidency, sir. Is there anything called presidential confidentiality? Even going far to say Cardinal should apologize to the president. But the one that takes the cake for me was when Daniel Bwala said, Cardinal Onayekon is not speaking for the entirety of Nigerian Christians. He's only speaking for only the Catholics.
Yeah. You would have thought that the spokespersons of the president, what needed to have happened after the visit and the report of the visit, yes. You would have thought somebody somewhere, if the villa was organized, I worked in the villa before, if the villa was organized, somebody somewhere would call all the spokespersons and say...
So Doc, the villa is not organized now?
No, it's not.
Oh, wow.
I think substantially these people all act on their own.
Oh, wow.
Because, look, somebody, chief of staff, for instance, would call all the special advisors and say, gentlemen, for the next few weeks, we should show humility, we should show respect, we should accept, we should play down this. Don't take this fight to another level.
Wow.
We would lose. These are cardinals, these are bishops, for goodness sake.
So, Doc, you mean this kind of meetings happen?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Strategy sessions like this?
Oh, absolutely. Wow. They used to happen.
Wow.
And people would sit down and they would listen. Wow. Now you have 4 or 5 people, each of whom goes out with guns blazing. And each one picks where he do. And you lose the battle. You lose the battle. Somebody somewhere would have said, oh, this is damage control. This is time for damage control. Either the president himself or chief of staff or sometimes chief of staff, secretary to government, a few advisors, minister of communication and information. They will get along and say, this meeting, we need to handle it better. They didn't. Wow. And this is why you see all these things. This hostile fighting back. You would lose this battle. First, because the bishops actually, Nigerians know what the bishops told the president is the actual truth. Nigerians also know the president's reaction and rebuttal just showed that he had lost touch with the reality of the country. Other issues that were raised by the bishops and the president repudiated everything. Was just simply says we are being led by a leader who is not in touch with reality. All these things are there, but I think that maybe perhaps the phantom agency is taken away, Bajamiala's, but there are different focuses of power immediately around the president, and I think coordination is missing, and it's vital. But somebody needs to take charge. The vice president could have helped, stepped in, but the vice president is a spectator, has been a spectator virtually in the entire period of the president. So it makes you wonder, why the president brought him back and says, and if I was advising the VP, I would say, am I coming back as a vice president to spend another 4 years sitting on my hands, or am I coming back to work?
Exactly.
Because there are choices he has.
Exactly. Okay, Doc, let's wind down now. I'll just take this question, and then I would crave your indulgence to give me rapid fire responses. Your take on the repeat Muslim ticket?
I think that, look, let me tell you something else that has been hinted. People said, oh, these bishops went to President Tinubu to raise all these difficult questions for him and to get him to react because they're not happy that he's repeating the Muslim ticket. That is nonsense. What did he do with the Muslim ticket? If it was intended to benefit the Muslims in this country, the Muslims in this country have been on the receiving end of President Tinubu more than all the other people of other faith. Most of them live in the North. The North has suffered from Tinubu administration more than any other part of this country. If the president, I suspect the president couldn't just manage the complexity of northern politics. He wanted a northern Christian. There are too many places where northern Christians are raising their hands and saying, me. And rather than risk alienating huge parts of that, one part of the country, one part of the northern Christian community in the north, he says, okay, let me go and pick a vice president who is a Muslim, who has been no threat to me, who has been of no use. I have not used him, and I can keep him this way until 2020 and 2027, 2031. Again, like I said, if I was advising VP Shettima, I really would say, sir, ask him, are we going to go through another 4 years with you just sitting here and looking? Or are you going to use me? I have a lot to offer. Am I going to be a lame duck vice president, or am I going to be an active vice president? And then I have a choice.
Absolutely. Okay, Doc, your party PRP, it was glad for me to see your presidential candidate yesterday. He's been missing in action for since he won since he was announced the winner of the primaries. But he's glad, and I was really mightily impressed when I saw him take questions on,
thank
the
you.
TV. And I'll be glad to have him sit where you sit now.
He will come.
Absolutely,
I assure you, he will come.
I'll take your word for it. Who is his running mate, sir?
We still haven't decided on one. We are close to taking a decision. It's not a small decision to take because we're really looking for somebody who can help him, not just be a figure.
Interesting. Is there any pathway, sir, honestly, in your mind, for Donald Duke and his VP pick eventually towards the presidency? Do you think there's a pathway for them?
Yes. I wouldn't waste time and do a lot of what I'm doing at this very late age of my life if I didn't think so. I think Donald Duke on his own is an excellent Nigerian. He has the credentials, the background, the experience, the vision to be a good president. The fact that we're spending this much time looking at for a second for him suggests that we are seriously looking for two people who can work together to pull this country out of the ditch and put it on the road to recovery. We need the support of other parties. We believe this opposition must work together. A single party can't fight. Any one party cannot fight this behemoth that is sitting on the future of this country. So we are taking this issue very seriously. But yes, we're confident that we can defeat the APC.
Okay. The presidential elections is just like 5-6 months away. What are some of the most dangerous, maybe 2 or 3, in your own view, most dangerous developments that could affect the election, or destabilize the country post-election?
One is the rising tide of perception that this administration is bent on coming back, whether it has a free or fair election or not. The concerns about pre-election violence, election violence, post-election violence is real. And it is very important for government to understand that this is not just us raising unfounded claims. It is true. There is a lot of anger at the way government has treated the basic principles of governance. address the needs of the people. And this seeming comfort that they will come back anyway. People think there must be, what are they counting on? Are they counting on rigging the election, or are they is there a miracle they'll pull out with 5 months to the election? So that's one. We have to worry on the nexus between the nature of the election, whether it is free or fair or rigged or interfered with the reaction of the people. That is a threat. The second one, as I said, as I mentioned, our experience with the judiciary is the posture of the judiciary. There are huge number of cases before the courts. The big parties are all before the courts in one way or the other. And the way the judiciary decides who runs and who doesn't run is also central. They could pick, ADC has about 2 or 3 factions. PDP has 2 or 3 factions. NDC itself has issues. A lot of the parties have issues. The manner the judiciary takes a decision can severely cripple some parties and reinforce the ruling party. That's another red flag, and it must be watched out. The third one is the degree to which this administration pushes the rules away and deals with electoral rules and just simply brings out billions and billions and trillions to buy off without any modesty or respect for sensitivity to people. People might collect money and still go out and burn down the country. Again, so there needs to be some respect for the sensitivities of people. You can't suffer for 4 years and then people come around and buy off an election and expect that there will be no consequences. So these, for me, these are the 3 key threats.
Interesting. Finally, Doc, a group, G100 group, talking about, they've gone back to the Ibadan summit, as it were, that there is a need for all opposition candidates to coalesce and back one of them, for there to be any serious threat to removing President Tinubu electorally, democratically, next year, January. And I heard your candidate speak towards this. He was actually championing it. He was speaking, and I was really impressed. Are you, as a party chairman, are you on board with this, and are you supporting this?
Yes, I'm meeting them in the next 2 hours.
Oh, wow.
We support this. We started something on the basis of a party. These are just a group of, but they are well-meaning, and we support them. And we believe that some collaboration and some active participation, unification of our vision and energy is vital. Defeating APC is not going to be a walk in the park. We know this. We don't have trillions of naira.
Some candidates, some parties believe it's a walk in the park, that in fact by 2 o'clock or 12 noon,
there are parties and there are parties.
Oh, okay.
The government has its own parties, not just APC. So it has its own people.
Oh, wow.
But there are those who are serious about defeating APC and its other parties and giving this country a new lease of life. And those are the people we're talking about. We will collaborate. We will find ways around which this idea of one candidate we are lining up behind is only one of the many, many options that we have. What is important is to recognize the fact that alone it will be almost impossible to defeat the APC. Together, it's almost certain we can defeat the APC. And that's the point. And PRP supports this idea. We will work with other parties, and we will devise a way in which we can reinforce each other and reduce the damage that this governing party, is doing on other parties.